Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Amy from Neurotic Mom Bakes, and I have series number 2 of my mug cakes that I'm going to show you. I have 4 more flavors, including 1 gluten-free chocolate lava cake recipe. I also have a peanut butter cup one. I'm going to show you a chocolate chip cookie in a mug, not a cake, it's a cookie. And then my personal favorite, the gingerbread cake. Okay. Let's start with the gluten-free one. I have a 1/4 cup of almond flour and 2 tablespoons of cocoa. I like to use the dark, but light will also work. This just will have a richer chocolate flavor. All right, there's my cocoa. I'm just gonna kind of stir those together, break up the clumps in the almond flour. And then to that, I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of just a basic pancake syrup. Okay, and then 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. Let's put in a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, and we're going to crack 1 whole egg into there. Okay, and let me get my spoon. We're going to mix that all together. You can leave this as it is right now just for a basic chocolate cake. But if you want to make it a lava cake with some pieces of melted chocolate in there, you can add any kind of chocolate. You could add some pieces of chocolate bar or some Dove chocolates I've used, or today I'm just gonna use some basic regular chocolate chips. And I'm just going to kind of place them right in the center and push them down to the bottom with my spoon. Right in the center, push them down so they're covered, and then another big handful right on top. And that's going to go in the microwave for about 80 to 90 seconds. I'll show you some garnishes at the end after I've done all 4. The next one is our peanut butter cup. I have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter in here, although salted would work just fine. And I'm gonna melt that in the microwave, in the cup, in the mug. Now, I have 4 tablespoons of creamy peanut butter. And you wanna put that in the hot, melted butter, and it kind of melts it a little bit. So I'm just gonna kind of stir the peanut butter around in the butter to get it kind of melty. There we go. And then I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of milk and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, mix that around, get it nice and smooth. Okay. Now, we add our dry ingredients, which are 4 tablespoons of flour. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of salt. Get that all mixed together. Okay, now we're going to fold in some chocolate chips. I like lots of chocolate in there, so I'm putting a lot. When you add things like cookies or chocolate chips in there, you need to cook it just a little bit longer. So I'm gonna do this for 80 seconds. Okay, this one ended up taking 90 seconds because I had all those chocolate chips in there. It'll just take a little bit longer. All right, the next one is not a cake, it's a cookie. I'm going to show you a chocolate chip cookie in a mug. This one is delicious. In here I have 1.5 tablespoons of salted butter, and I'm going to melt that. Now this calls for dark brown sugar. It's best to use the dark brown because it gives that buttery chocolate chip cookie flavor. However, light brown sugar will work if you don't have the dark. Okay, so I've got my butter in here, and then I will dissolve 2 tablespoons of the dark brown sugar into the butter. You want to pack it down. There's 1. 2. So we're going to stir that in there. Make sure it's smooth and there are no clumps of the brown sugar. Okay, then I'm going to stir in, I did the sugar, and a pinch of salt. I do a little more of a pinch because I like that salty flavor in the chocolate chip cookie. All right, now I have an egg yolk. Make sure you don't put the white in, it's just the yolk. I'm gonna mix that in. And just a tiny drop or 2 of vanilla. Like 1/8 of a teaspoon. Just a little tiny bit. Now I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of flour. And stir this in. This one's a little bit thicker. It's gonna give you that cookie-like texture. It doesn't have any baking powder in there. And I'm gonna stir in some chocolate chips. This cooks a lot faster. Start with 45 seconds up to 60 seconds until it looks baked through in the center. All right, the last one and my personal favorite is the gingerbread cake. I have a tablespoon of unsalted butter in here that I'm going to melt in the microwave. Okay, I've got my melted butter and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of white sugar and 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Dark or light will work. Pack it down in there. Then stir that around, get the brown sugar melted in the butter, making sure there's no clumps. Then I'm going to add a tablespoon of molasses. You can use the dark or light. Dark will give a richer flavor. The full flavor will give a richer flavor, which I prefer. But you can use the light molasses as well. Just a tiny splash of vanilla. And then 4 tablespoons of milk, or 1/4 cup of milk. Get that mixed in. To this I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of flour. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. and a pinch of salt. Okay, let's get that mixed together. And again, anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds on all the cakes and only 45 to 60 seconds on the cookie. Okay. Okay, now for garnishes. For the chocolate cake, I like to put a sprinkling of powdered sugar, just a little bit. You don't need a lot. And let's take a look at this, see if we can get some of that. Oh my goodness, yes, that is perfect. Yum. Okay, and for the peanut butter one, I'll just put some chocolate chips on top if you like all that extra chocolate, which I do. And there's our peanut butter cake. If you want to put more chocolate chips on the cookie one, you can, but I don't. But you see how it's a lot flatter? It's like a cookie. It's more dense. And it definitely has more of the texture of a cookie. And then last but not least, I love to garnish this one with some whipped cream. And there's our gingerbread. Yep, that one's the best. But that's just my opinion. All right, I hope you enjoyed this series number 2 of my mug cakes, and I hope you'll give them all a try. I'd love to know which ones are your favorite. And if you want to see more content like this, just make sure to subscribe to my channel.